what has come before you.
Yeah.
And then to be kind about it.
I agree.
And if you see somebody else's work that you think that they may have gotten from somewhere else, instead of just sending them a picture with no words or something like that. That's
a little passive aggressive now, isn't it?
So I think we need to be upfront. We need to be honest, and we just need to keep all that out in the open. I also think it's really important, when somebody, for example, it happens all the time, and I see it online. Oh, can you lend me this pattern?
Yeah.
I was like, no, but I can tell you where to buy it.
Yeah.
We need to support when people have copyrighted materials, that we buy each other's books or patterns. That's right. And so I think, good people equals good business, I think is a good way to say it.
Yeah. And
when it comes to intellectual property.
Yeah. And as you said, people, whether it's somebody who's trying to make a little bit of money from their patterns or live fully from this, that we have to be respectful of that. That's what I keep coming. People, I've been talking to a lot of people on all different sides, and it's like, if we have whether you're a poet or you're a filmmaker, we as a group decide what is acceptable for our community and what isn't. And I think supporting people by spending $10 on a pattern or buying a book for $20 or $25 is part of the deal here. That even though there may not be easily enforceable copyright infringement, you're not going to, because of the law and the way the law works, it's part of the social norm of the group to support each other.
And we have this amazing sharing community too.
Yeah.
I'm Google taught when it comes to quilting.
Right.
If it weren't for Anna Maria Horner's binding tutorial, or, I can name a million things. I learned to quilt from Amanda Jean Nyberg on Crazy Mom Quilt. I did her quilt-alongs, and that was the very first star I ever made. It was, so all of these people who have been so generous in sharing, and we have this great sharing community.
Yeah.
But we can't not support and purchase when people, are putting their work out there for sale.
Yeah.
I get emails all the time that say, oh, I bought your Craftsy class and invited 10 friends over and we all watched it together.
Right. And they think they're being loving, right? That they think it's loving, and they don't see that it's economically not a good idea.
Exactly. And so I think we just have to gently and in a loving way, like you said, get the information out there, so that people understand that isn't a compliment.
No, right.
That you're taking money away when you're sharing that pattern that you guys are working on together.
Right. It's right.
So I think some of that, and some of that is done. People don't know that it's not a good thing. And we just kind of have to get that information out there.
I get the feeling sometimes. Some people know, but a lot of them don't. And I think that I think that there's just a sense, if they can recognize sort of what the industry is, I think that that'll help in some way, right? That's kind of why this is a research podcast, and instead of just doing my research and interview you and put it in a drawer and only that, I felt like, well, as I learn, I think others want to know this too. So that's why it became a public podcast as opposed to, I've never done a research project where I'm just asking questions that everybody's going to hear. But I also felt like that's part of the project, is sharing it and really trying to understand really how hard all of you work to make what you do. And so buying your book on, improv quilting is the least we can do, right? So that's kind of the way I feel, at least at this point. And I think that I'm learning a lot more as I go about all of it.
And I think all of us, need to set standards as professionals. And we need to ask for what we need as professionals as well. Part of that education of the community is on us. When we're asked to work for free, we have to tell people why we're saying no.
Yeah.
And what that means to us,
Yeah.
or when we're asked to reduce our rate in half, or, and we need to be professional and kind about it, but that education is on us as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I've done this other project on copyright duration called the Durationator for like 10 years, and we did free work for people for 9 of those 10 years, right? And anytime anyone asked, I was like, oh, okay. But then about a year and a half ago, it was like, no, we're done, right? Like, it's your thing of like, you don't know what kind of time it takes for me to do that work for you, and we can't do anything for free anymore for anyone. I mean, if you can't pay very much, I understand, but this is a profession. This is my job, right? So, like, to have, and I really do, I really feel what you're saying, because it's important for people to respect that, and it's not out of cruelty or uppityness. It's like, this takes a lot of work to do, and you should respect it by recognizing the economic needs of that,
Well, and there's also responsibility on us as professionals to deliver quality products.
Yes.
When I charge this much for teaching a class, people, I am assuming people expect me to work the entire 6 hours and to deliver quality product to them.
Yeah.
So, part of that onus is on us as professionals to deliver professional products and, a professional atmosphere, all of that.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Any problems with copy? Do you register your books, I would imagine, with the Copyright Office, or the publisher does?
Yeah.
I imagine you don't register your quilts. Do you register your quilts with the Copyright Office?
So I don't.
Interesting.
I don't.
Yeah. And any copyright stories or worries that have happened, or trademark issues that have arisen? And you can say, I don't want to talk about it too. So people don't always want to tell me those stories. So.
I mean, so this just happened the other day. I got a review of my class, and I was told that everything that I was teaching was a copy of somebody else's work.
Right.
In my evaluation.
Right. Well, of course. That's right.
And so it happens often to all of us.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's important that we put out there, accurate information, that we're able to respond to those kind of things professionally.
Yeah. Right.
And it's hard, not to take things personally when people accuse you of copying, or, I believe this is a really supportive, mostly sharing community.
Yeah.
I do believe that people can create the same thing and have the same idea. I know that happens.
Definitely.
And I try and, I guess my philosophy of the whole thing is I assume good intent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think there are very few people who maliciously go out to copy people.
That's true. And people don't really recognize that, like, techniques are not copyrightable. They're patentable, right, but usually not for quilting. That right, you could actually take a technique from someone else and teach it, and that's totally legal. Like, that's not a problem. And so I found that that's really interesting, that there is a kind of confusion between, like, and of obviously things are in the public domain, and like, there's a lot of elements that, like, you're supposed to copy, right? As you said, you learn techniques from binding on certain people. That's because it's a technique. It's not,
So I mean, I see people copy art all the time.
Yeah.
And we learn by copying.
Right. It's true.
It's part of how people learn. But there's a difference between making something that looks like a Mondrian painting and saying it belongs to you.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
right. And the other question I have for you, and I'm almost done, I promise, I have 2 more questions, is when someone takes your class and they say, oh, I want to make one like yours, how do you feel about that? Are you okay with people making copies of your version of something for themselves, or are you not cool with that?
So I'm totally cool with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I've learned everything that I know from somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked really hard and I try to be original because I love original work. But I've had people, look at quilts on my blog and then make it. And 99% of the time they say, this is Jack, I saw it from Jackie and I made it.
Right.
And I'm thrilled with that. People are making things. It's absolutely great. And very honestly, I don't have enough time in my life to fuss about stuff like that.
Yeah. And then the concept of the public domain. So we have these blocks that are in the public domain. Everybody can use it. Then modern quilting comes along and there's new stuff. Is that stuff do you feel like there's a body of stuff in the modern quilting repertoire that everybody should be using? Or is that stuff locked up because it's only been around for a certain amount of time?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's the last question. It's the hardest one. Sorry about that.
Almost all of that has come from ancient Egypt or tiles somewhere or, design is so fluid and how can you say it? Everything's a remix kind of,
Right.
I mean, I think we can get to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the aspect of a sharing community. On the other side of that, when somebody, puts the effort to write a pattern and instructions, you don't copy that from somebody.
Yeah.
But if it's for a pinwheel block, somebody else can write their own instructions for that and it's all good.
That's right.
So I think there's these kind of blurry lines within the intellectual property rules. But I love that we are a sharing community.
Yeah.
And there are only so many ways to put a drunkard's path together.
Yep. That's right. That's right. It's totally true. All right. Do you have anything else to add? Those are all. We didn't get through all my list. But we got through the core, this, and we talked. And I now know about craft foam. So what more do you need? I mean,
what more do you need?
I know. I'm going to be on Amazon ordering craft foam. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to be like, well, it's the most important. That's the most important material. So
get a pair of scissors or a craft knife and start cutting shapes.
I'm psyched. Yeah, that's so cool.
Manipulating with your hands is really fun.
Totally, I love it.
A lot like working with fabric.
That's so cool. You are so beyond awesome. I really do appreciate it. This is just beyond cool. I mean, really, this is what else does anyone want to do on a Thursday night? I'll talk to you in this awesome way. So this is so cool. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to edit. I don't really edit. So Abby Glassenberg interviewed me, and she was like, "Why don't you edit more?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't really have time." I'm like, "I don't really care." So that's not what it's about. She's like, anyway. So I'll put a little music around it. I'll see if there's any problems, but I'll send it to you if you want to review it, or if you feel comfortable with what you said. You don't need to review it. So do you feel
totally comfortable?
Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll let you know. You'll have when it's out, and we'll. I just thank you a lot. And again, when you start to get your Kansas City come see you, I'm there. I will be there. I will be one of your first people, and I will bring people. So tell me, and we will bring a crowd. Yeah.
Show you my amazing city.
Yeah, I've never been.
It's a pretty cool place.
I really think that's awesome. I would love to come. I would great. So so I will watch your progress and join your mailing list so that I know when you are doing wonderful things. And then the quilting army will descend. It will be great.
It's been fun. Thank so much.
All right. Take care. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye. So this is Elizabeth Townsend Guard. You've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. We want to hear from you. Join our army, our quilting army. Go to our Facebook page. Suggest people to be interviewed. Suggest yourself to be interviewed. We are excited to hear from you. But most importantly, I hope you get a chance to quilt today.